Hello, unstoppable real estate investors. I'm Rihanna Starr, your host of the Unstoppable Real Estate Investor Real Estate Group and podcast. And with me today is one of my favorite people, Patrick Yepez. Patrick has done a lot for me, which we'll get into in the interview. But we're going live on Wednesdays at noon with top 5% experts in real estate investing. On Fridays, we spotlight members in my group, the Unstoppable Real Estate Investor group on Facebook. So if you ever want to join us live, please join our community. Otherwise, we're posting these podcasts in probably at least 100 or two real estate investment groups just to spread the word and have everyone cross-pollinate and help each other out and share expertise. So with me is Patrick Yepez, and Patrick has a unique background in real estate. He is an investor. He also is a developer, but really what he does for real estate investors like myself and other people is, and it's just kind of a secret little thing that's kind of built steam up in the last year or so, is he can manage all your marketing for you. They can help grow your visibility, grow your list, help you grow your contacts. And his team is phenomenal. I'm speaking from firsthand experience. But today, we're going to actually talk more about marketing than real estate investing, and specifically about blogging. But before we dive into all that good stuff, I want to ask Patrick, give us a little bit about your background, like that you're of Ecuadorian descent, and just tell us a little bit about the days of free real estate and then how you got into real estate.
Sure. For starters, Rihanna, thank you so much for having me on a guest on your podcast. I am honored, so I really appreciate it. I am from Ecuadorian descent. Actually, my parents took me by the ears when I was 6 months old, and we wound up in the state of New Jersey. And so basically I'm as American as I guess you can be. I lived in northern New Jersey, and that's where I did my business as a real estate investor. But the way I got into it, though, is kind of similar to you, Rihanna. I come from a family of real estate brokers, and my mom and dad, my dad was a real estate broker. My mom was a real estate agent who worked with my dad. And the dad worked for a little over 45 years as a real estate, in the real estate business.
Wow. Yeah.
So like yourself, you and I were weaned on the MLS and on house showings and
the retail side of the business. Yeah,
exactly. And so when I got out of university, I decided to join my dad in the business, and we had a pretty big company, pretty successful company for about a decade. We had it for about a decade, and then I got the bug. I did my first fix and flip about 32 or 33 years ago, and just fell in love with the real estate investment side. And towards the latter part of my real estate, career, on the retail side, as you say, I was an REO specialist. So I worked with Aquin Bank and Citibank and Tri-State Mortgage and what have you, helping them when they needed somebody to help them sell their foreclosures. And that's what got me into, meeting investors and seeing what they do. And spent several decades in northern New Jersey as a real estate investor and a builder. So I used to build homes in Passaic, and primarily in Passaic and Essex County. And I fell in love with it. I love it, and I've been at it ever since.
And you do some developing too, don't you? You're doing a development project in Ecuador right now, aren't you?
Yeah, I stopped that a couple of years ago, but I was building I built some smaller buildings, and then I was building developing some gated communities, some small gated communities. And actually, all of them are named after my daughter in one way, shape, or form. In Italian, her nickname is Alexina. So they're all named in one way, shape, or form after her name. But I did that for about 10 years as well. And now I've really gotten, all in and still have the real estate. I'm still an active real estate investor. My company, Florida Express Home Buyers, is based out of Miami. But I'm really all in, not only in that, but also in Dream Big digital products. As you had mentioned earlier, my team and I, we create digital products and software applications, and we sell them, to real estate investors. And then there's a third business that has grown organically. And I think, Rihanna, you're a client of ours, and we've worked with you, and it's Dream Big Marketing Services. So we provide marketing services for investors, for SaaS company owners, for coaches, and influencers.
Yeah, one of your other clients has joined us, Graham Solomon. Yo, Thunder from Down Under. Good to have you here. Another podcast host. In fact, a really wonderful one. If you haven't caught one of Graham Solomon's podcasts, you have to. He's Thunder from Down Under. He's just an Aussie. He's a great guy. Lots of fun.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
Thanks for joining us, Graham. So most of the time we're focusing on some kind of niche or strategy or specialty as a real estate investor.
Mm-hmm.
But what we're going to focus on today with Patrick is him helping real estate investors get more visibility, build your network, build your net worth through good marketing strategies, and not the marketing strategies you're thinking of where you build a team of VAs to grind away and talk to sellers for generating seller leads to get wholesales or rehab deals. We're talking about marketing your brand and building your network through building your brand. And so one of the strategies that Patrick teaches is blogging. Now, a lot of people have heard of it, and yet most people really don't understand blogging and the power of it, and really the strategy that's actually going to have blogging make a difference. Like anything else, that to be successful at it and to reap the rewards, you've got to be consistent. And just like in real estate investing, if you're not consistent with your marketing, then hire a team to do it for you. So, Patrick, tell us a little bit about Dream Big Marketing Services and specifically the blogging service.
Okay. Well, under Dream Big Marketing Service, we provide just a whole slew of different services for clients, whether it's email list management. We have several clients for whom we manage actually their social media campaigns. We can help, and we do quite out. We have, in fact, today as we speak, there's a workshop that we're hosting for our good friend Rufus Thibodeau.
Is today the launch of the copywriting workshop?
Yeah, today is the workshop, and it's going to be on for the next couple of days. So we help coaches and help SaaS company owners launch their workshops.
Can you explain what SaaS is to people who might not know?
It's software as a service. So it's companies like Canva, for example, or LastPass, or those kind of companies. So we help owners of those companies when they want to promote their product or promote their services. And then I've got several networks that I love to leverage the power of collaborative marketing. There's an old Kenyan saying, and Carla Hill, who's a gal from our network, often says it, that alone you can get very far. Alone you can get very fast, but together you can get very far. And it's the truth. And I try to leverage that concept through collaborative marketing, where we can help each other promote our businesses, promote what we do, promote our podcasts or what have you, and we all win. So that's really,
instead of competing, we're collaborating. And I like that shift in consciousness, and I think we're going to see that trend more and more as we go into the future. I think the pandemic woke everybody up that being a pawn in the corporate game, you don't have any power, that more and more people are going to want more freedom and a say on their time and their financial freedom. And in order to do that, you need to collaborate rather than compete. And again, collaboration is also bringing a little more of that feminine energy in to balance out the competition, the war, the striving. It's like,
Yin,
well, why
yin
don't
and
we
yang.
get together and, yeah, the yin and yang. So tell
Sure.
us more.
Well, so those are the services we provide. Now, within that, we also help investors, or we provide a service where we upload blogs that we have pre-written. It's a series of blogs to their platform, and that's a separate service. And what I did want to do is maybe dive in for 15 or 20 minutes, kind of do a shorter version. Normally I'll go on for an hour or more, but kind of talking about, as you mentioned, the power of blogging, how blogging can help you grow your business. Blogging has two major advantages. One of them is that if you create evergreen blogs, and I recommend you do 90% of your blogs.
Define evergreen, because there are people that
evergreen are blogs that are not the latest news, that they're not the latest happenings. So for example, if you write a blog on helping homeowners sell a property that has water damage, or that a property that has a foundation issue, or a property that they've gotten, that's fallen on their lap through probate. And if you give them the solution, give the motivated sellers the solutions to their problem, those solutions, that blog is going to be something that's going to hold true, today, tomorrow, and
so evergreen means timeless. It's not based on trends or a date. Like in 10 years, that content will speak just as good as it was now.
Exactly. And so one advantage of blogging is that if they're evergreen, that it's going to be something that's relevant for the motivated seller that's entering a query into Google. It's something that's going to be relevant whether they see it the day you publish it or 5 years down the road. And that's number one. Number two, by creating evergreen blogs and by blogging consistently, it's a way for you to get out of what I like to call that hamster wheel marketing. And when people hear marketing, I guess a lot of people sigh, or a lot of people, say, oh, geez.
Yeah.
Because marketing to many people is that consistent grind of posting every day, that consistent grind of cold calling.
Been there, done that. Don't do it anymore.
That consistent grind of cold calling, or frankly, and not to say that those things don't work, but it wears you down. So if you can complement that and pick whether it's snail mail, whether it's cold calling, whether it's posting in on Facebook and on different social media, whatever your strength is. But if you can complement that with something like blogging that's evergreen, then that really propels you to that next level.
Well, yeah, because you can keep repurposing that content. Like I'm going to tattle on myself, but I have not posted any new content for a year. Because I had cranked out so much content, and it was evergreen, and my VA Rose, who manages all my social media for me, she'll just take little snippets or just a piece of content. She'll rework it into a story post, an inspirational post, or she might even use it to promote something that we're working on. So, you can use it in a blog, you can use it in an email campaign, you can use it in social media posts. I just want to welcome people that have joined us. Tajmia Rahman, Christine Delgado, sorry if I'm not saying your names correctly, Michael Luce or Luce, and of course our favorite buddy, Graham. And I embarrassed him gushing about how wonderful he is. All right, so tell us more about blogging.
Sure.
Tell us like a specific strategy that, now, just because he gives you a strategy doesn't mean you know what to do and get out there. A strategy is just telling you how something works. It's not telling you how to do it. So tell us.
I'd like to do that. I'm going to go into how it works. Sure.
Please do that, and then share specifically how your team is a benefit rather than people doing it on their own.
Sure. If you could allow me to share the screen.
Oh, yeah. please.
then what I'd love to do is I'm going to talk for about 15 or 20 minutes about what is the science, because there is a science behind writing a blog. It's not as if you just sit down and just, just whatever comes to the top of the head. There's a science in order for your blogs to be attention grabbing, in order for your blogs to be SEO optimized. There's a science, there's a strategies, there are techniques, and that's what I'd like to share, with your audience this afternoon. So I'm just going to give it a second.
Get your pads and pens out, folks, or open up a Google Doc or a Word doc and start to take some notes here. He's going to give you some good stuff.
Yeah, by the way, with what I'm about to share, you can, go off to the races and start blogging. I think I'm going to give you a lot. I know I'm going to give you a lot of content, a lot of tips, a lot of free resources that will help you to be able to create your, blogs. Now,
yeah, wait, before you jump in,
Sure,
I want to just a little plug for you. The reason I hired Patrick and his team, they do some blogging on my real estate website, but I hired them for my updating my brand and all my marketing and PR stuff, and to grow my groups and my email list. And they're extraordinary to work with. I mean, his team, they're creative, they're fast, it's just amazing how much they got done for me in such a short period of time. But the thing that's extraordinary about Patrick is, whether you're a paying client or not, he will just give you so much value and help you so much for free. He's just a good guy that way. If I can't help you, great. And he's not this pushy sales guy. He's making plenty of money doing all the stuff he's doing. He just wants to help people, genuinely help people. So you do really want to take notes here, because yeah, he's promoting his blogging service, but he's also going to leave you being able to do some things on your own if you can't hire him. However, his blogging service is ridiculously affordable. Go ahead.
Sure. And by the way, I extend this to anybody. If you want, if you have any questions, you want to pick my brain, there's no pressure at all. Maybe something of what I present to you today isn't clear, or you want to start blogging on your own and you just want to pick my brain, you're more than welcome to reach out to me, and I'll give you some my contact information at the end. So let me just jump right in real quick, and you can refer, and I'll include the link here. Actually, Rihanna will give a link at the end for you to be able to, via that link, you can get to this page. So that in addition to the notes, you've got all the information here so that you can use this as a resource. I will preface what I'm about to say with the fact that, I was one of those persons that started blogging when WordPress was version 1.0. And so I've been doing it for, more than a decade. And there's absolutely no doubt that the ROI on blogging is just through the roof. And it's really powerful. It's a way to position yourself in the market. It's a way for you to build authority. It's a way for you to get your branding out, to brand yourself, to get name recognition, to build trust with the visitors that visit your website, to drive traffic to your website. So it works on so many levels. It helps. Now, what's the science behind blogging? The blogs that we create and the REI, REI content packs that we have, the blogs that we create, we start off first and foremost with a compelling title. The title is that hook that gets people to stop when they see the blog, and it creates that that curiosity factor. And so we want to make sure that that we have a compelling title for people to draw them in to read your blog. And so we use a free tool. And by the way, I'm going to be talking about free tools that you can use. The free tool is called coschedules.com. It's a headline analyzer. And what I do and what we do, our team members do, is we enter the titles into this headline analyzer. And what it does is it optimizes that title for word balance, for length, for keyword density, and for sentiment. And those are the things that are important, not only so that the title of the blog is clear, so that people understand what the content is going to be, but we always do everything for two people. We do it for our motivated sellers that will find our blog article, and we also do everything for Google. So we want to make sure those Google bots are happy. And so when we have a title with, and I'm going to be using the word, keyword, but when it has keywords, that's right away the first signal to those Google bots what your blog article is going to be about. So keep in mind that's the first and the most important step. Now, speaking about keywords, when you create a blog, you have to make sure that that blog is built and the content around is built around keywords that the most likely motivated seller will enter into Google. So we want to use those keywords, the jargon, that the motivated seller will type in and then build around it. So you might be thinking, wait a second, okay, that makes sense. It makes sense. But how do you do it? What do you do behind it? And that's actually a free tool which we all use every day, and we don't, we take it for granted. And that free tool is what's known as the predictive keyword phrases. You may recall that when you enter a query inside of Google, before you finish typing it, Google gives you it kind of autofills. It gives you choices of words or concepts that you can add to your query. So if you type, for example, how to sell a house, before you could get to, and this is actually a screenshot that I did, before I could get to finish my sentence, we have all of these predictive keywords that Google offers. And by the way, here we have a half dozen blogs that you could write, how to sell a house that needs repairs, how to sell a house that has a mortgage, how to sell a house that needs, that won't sell, or what have you. Right here, we have a number of blogs. So this is a really effective way to be able to find those keyword phrases, and then we build the blog around the keyword phrase. If the keyword
Patrick,
phrase,
hold on
sure,
just a sec. I have a couple of questions on that, but could you
Sure.
scroll back up? I want to put in the
Absolutely.
chat that
Sure.
that other link for
It's called coschedule.com.
Okay. And then the other thing is, could you use some of these keyword, long tail keywords? Could you use them? You could use them as a title, because you want your keywords in the title. You could take some of those that you're finding as a title for the blog, right?
Yes. In fact, not only do you want to use it in the title, ideally you want to use it within your first or second paragraph, and then you want to sprinkle your main keyword, and then beyond the main keyword, you want to include related keywords to that main keyword throughout the blog. And in fact, I'm going to get to that in a second and explain, that concept.
I'm good. You can move on from the screen.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. So going back to my point. So here we have these keywords. Now, these predictive keyword phrases, by the way, Google will recommend them because there's a lot of people that are Googling these terms. So we know right off the bat that if Google's giving us these results, that these are the terms, this is the queries that motivated sellers are entering into Google. Now, speaking to your point, or rather, let me not jump there. Let me give you another free way for you to find it. When you'll notice when you ask Google something at the bottom, after you get the search engine results page at the bottom, you'll get what's known as Google related searches, and you'll find this at the bottom of every single page when you're Googling something. Now, this is also another way to find keyword phrases. So here in this case, and this is an actual screenshot of what I entered, and at the bottom you'll see it say how to sell a house fast in a slow market. How to sell, creative ways to sell a house fast. Right here, we have probably another 6 or 7 blogs that you could write. So just with these two free resources, you have ideas. And by the way, again, Google is not going to include these related searches unless these are searches that people are typing into or querying into Google on a continuous basis. Having said that, I'm going to speak for a moment about long tail keywords, and then I'll talk a little bit more about semantically related keywords. But a long tail keyword is a keyword that either is a long tail because it either is hyperlocal focus or it speaks about a specific niche. So for example, there's a client of mine, her name's Tammy Etheridge Crudson. And Tammy, she's a real estate investor who works in Georgia, and her niche is senior housing or for helping seniors who are downsizing, helping seniors who need to sell their home because they have to go to long-term care. So in her case, if she were to write a blog article about that, she could talk about senior, let's say, downsizing your home in Georgia, or ways to downsize your home in Georgia. I believe she's in, I forget the county, but let's say that she's in, just to name a county, in Passaic. So how to downsize my home in Passaic County, Georgia. That's a that's a long tail keyword. Now, why is that important? Because if somebody is Googling and they put a term, how to sell my house, I'll bet you dollars to donuts that Tammy is not going to appear on the first page. Who is going to appear? The big companies, the I Buy Ugly Homes, the Keegley, the Open Door, those companies will appear on the first page. It's impossible to compete against companies that are either franchises or that have hundreds of offices. But if somebody queries how to sell my house in Passaic County, Georgia, or even better, how to downsize my house in Georgia or in Passaic County, Georgia, it's very likely that Tammy's blog will appear on that first page. I'm going to call it a SERPs page. It's a search engine results page. So it's very likely that she'll appear there. The fact is that the longer your keyword is, the phrase, the more geographically specific it is, the less competition there is for that keyword phrase. And just to use an analogy, if I'm in DC and I want to buy pizza and I enter just the word pizza, who's going to come up? Domino's and Papa John's and the big companies. But if I want to buy a Sicilian pizza in the brownstone section of Washington, D.C., and there's a blog article that has those terms, the best Sicilian pizza in the brownstone section of Washington, D.C., then Papa John's is not going to appear on that first page. It's very likely that whoever wrote that blog article will appear on the first page. So that's why it's so important to use long tail keywords, and to also, inside of those long tail keywords, have it be geographically, make sure you point out the geography and your specialty in those long tail keywords.
All right, before you move on, let me just do a little emphasis recap. So what Patrick's doing is giving you very specific strategies on how to use blogging to help people find you better, either sellers, other investors, lenders, buyers, whatever. But mostly we're focusing on how do we attract sellers or whatever. And long tail keywords are a way to get very niche, because if you try to go for the more general how to sell a house fast, it's so generic that you can't be competitive in the search engines. So these long tail keyword phrases get you more niche down into a less competitive search, so you become a big fish in a little pond rather than a little minnow lost at sea.
Absolutely.
Continue.
Absolutely. Yep. You've summed it perfectly. That's exactly the idea behind it. Yes.
Yeah. All
Now,
right, keep going.
along with that, we've got what are known as semantically related keywords. I mentioned to you early on that we have our primary keywords, and then we have semantically related keywords. The semantically related keywords are keywords that are related to the primary keyword, and they add more context to it. I employ that primarily for SEO purposes. It's really important for the bots to understand what your primary keywords are, and those semantically related keywords reinforces the theme of your blog. And by doing that, the Google bots are 100%, they understand the content of what you're writing. And there's also, by the way, a free resource which is called LSI Graph. If you enter in your primary keyword, it's going to just spit out a bunch of related keywords, and then you want to weave these related keywords into the content that you're writing. Now, mind you, we're not going to do all just 8 or 9 here. You just want to take the ones that are most applicable, the ones that fit well, because you don't want to force things into your writing, into your copy. So whatever feels well, whatever goes along, whatever complements the primary keyword, I always like to include that in there. Again, as I mentioned early on, we're writing for 2 people. We're writing for those people that they're looking for answers to their problems, looking for solutions to their situation, and looking for ways to sell a house, looking for ways to get rid of a property that might be a burden for them. We're looking for ways to overcome, different hurdles that, whether it's a divorce, it's a death in the family. And it's those people who are creating, we want to give them the answers. We want to position ourselves as the resource, as the expert. And if you do that, people will reach out. People will, when then you're on your website, they'll fill out that opt-in form, or they'll pick up the phone and call you. Now, hand in hand with that, I always like to employ what's known as internal linking whenever we create blogs. And the concept of internal linking, again, we do it for 2 reasons. Number one, for the reader, for the person who visits our website, it's really important and very powerful that if I'm reading a blog, let's just say for the moment, about selling a hoarder house. You have an aunt or a distant relative who has a hoarder house, and there's a blog that talks about that. And maybe there's a paragraph in that blog that talks about closing costs, just to say for argument's sake. Well, if you've got a link, an internal link that refers out to one of your other blogs, and you have another blog that talks about closing costs or talks about pitfalls of closings or what have you, then what happens is the reader sees that you're speaking about different topics and sees that you're an expert in many niches and many aspects of real estate investment. Those the idea of internal linking helps you build more authority, helps you share more information with the visitors on your website, and it helps with SEO. It helps with SEO because those Google bots, when they see that blog and they find that there's internal links to related articles, they're going to award you and credit you for that. That's something positive. Beyond that, the fact that there's internal links inside of when you're creating your blogs, the fact that you're using internal links means that people will maybe read 2 or 3 of your blogs. If they do that, and the Google bots like to see that people are visiting your website, are consuming your content, and they're not just hopping in and within 5 seconds.
Yeah, they're staying on, because
exactly.
page time, how long people are staying on your website is another factor.
Exactly. So when Google bots see that, they see that that's something positive. They see that you're writing content that's relevant and that people are finding it valuable. When that happens, that helps increase your Google ranking. It helps your blogs to land on that first page that coveted first page that we're all looking to be on. Now, something related to that are external links. So I also like to include external links in addition to internal links whenever we create any blog. So at the end of every blog, we have something similar to this for more helpful tips and resources for understanding and avoiding closing delays. And here are other external links that are linked to high authority websites. That's something that's going to help position you from an SEO perspective in good graces of the Google bots. But beyond that, you're providing additional resources for your readers so they can read your content, and you're being of service to them by giving them additional resources. Obviously, these aren't competitors. You don't want to send them to other real estate investors, but other resources they can use to help them, answer their questions or overcome their problems. Now, one thing to always keep in mind is that when you create a blog, to make sure that it's hyper local focus. That goes, that's the other part of the coin of that long-tailed keyword. You want to make sure you if you could ideally use it inside of your long-tail keyword. Use it if you can in your title. I like to sprinkle that hyper local focus, whether it's the town or city that you specialize in, or the county or the state. And I like to sprinkle that throughout the blog so that when Google indexes that blog, when they position it in that search engine results page, that they're going to position it in such a way that by employing the hyperlocal focus, by employing long-tail keywords, your likelihood of landing on that first page is very, very high. So that's something very, very, very important to keep in mind. Now, there's something else, and we're going to go off on a short tangent. The idea that you have to understand that when you're writing, your writing has to be informative, has to be educational, it has to position yourself as an authority and expert, but it's got to be fun. It's got to be enjoyable to read. And I like to use the analogy of a magazine, particularly the women's magazines. You'll read the magazine, and whether it's a men's health or a women's magazine, you'll finish the magazine and you feel like you haven't read it. If you get a textbook, you look at the first page, you already get dizzy. So you want to do the same thing with blog formatting. You want your blog to be created, to be written in such a way that it's easy to consume. Magazines do that well. How? By using white space, by using images, by using graphics, by using quotes and GIFs. Well, in the case of a magazine, it's images, but if you're on the internet, it's GIFs. And that makes your content easier to consume, more pleasant to consume, and it helps you when somebody visits your blog, visits your website. Last thing in the world that you want to do is just a whole page of just text. Most people will visit that and will close it right away. Right away, you get bored. Yes, exactly. Now, with having said that, one of the things that we always include are attention-grabbing images.
Wait, before you go into this, I just want a quick recap. Look, you can go down the SEO tunnel rabbit hole and get really behind the scenes and technical and stressed out, and that's how you're gonna, but remember, what ranks well on the search engines is people driven, okay? These algorithms that have been developed for search engine, these SEO, search engine optimization algorithms have been developed because of search behavior by human beings. So what he's talking about here with the formatting of the blog is everything you're doing, if you have to choose between it being technical or for a person who's reading it, always think of the person who's going to be consuming the content, because then the SEO will take care of itself. Yeah, there's some strategies here to use, but when you think of everything that Patrick's teaching us right now, all of it does boil down to strategies that make the content more appealing to the human being. And the search engine algorithms are only reflecting that.
Right, and you never want to force anything, even those semantically related keywords. You don't want to force anything. If it fits in naturally in your copy, then you want to include that in there.
Okay, keep going.
And we'll be wrapping up in the next few minutes. But one thing that I do with all the blogs is we include images, and images are important because of the blog formatting. But there's another reason, and again, here we go with the SEO. It just so happens that Google indexes images. Since Google indexes images, the more images you have on the blog, the more portals you have for people to be able to find your blog and to find your website. So that's something that I highly recommend. I also include in many of the blogs that we write infographics. I include it for two reasons. One, people consume content differently. Some people are more visual, so I like to include infographics. Here's one about know the difference versus selling to a company that buys houses or listing with an agent, and this is a blog article. So we include this for that reason. And again, the second reason, it serves as a portal because infographics are also indexed by Google. It's a different way for people to be able to find you on the internet.
Yeah, just looking at that infographic, if you can scroll up.
Sure.
It just makes me want to look at it. It looks fun. It's colorful. It looks like it's very easy to skim and scan and get the gist of it. I love infographics.
Exactly. Yeah, they summarize the text in the blog. Now, we actually started this whole conversation about the fact of creating evergreen blog posts, and I'm a proponent of create evergreen blog posts, and if you do, make sure that 90% of your blog posts or more are evergreen. That's not to say you might not want to write a timely blog post that has to do with the state of the economy today.
Well, yeah, otherwise,
yeah,
like the whole pandemic. I mean, and that's such a world event that even reference to the pandemic almost will be evergreen for a while anyway, any major global events like that. But yeah, otherwise you do have to show people that you're plugged into current events. So sprinkling those in, but you want most of your content to be evergreen, and every now and then, like spices, you want the main ingredients to be evergreen, but you sprinkle in some current event stuff to spice things up.
Exactly. And with that said, I bet, as they say, with that, it's a wrap.
That's a wrap.
That's a wrap. Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
All right. So give them
Sure.
the pitch. Tell them
Sure,
REI content packs are a blogging service. So tell them all about it, because get ready, brace yourselves.
So
this
here
is
we go, guys.
ridiculously affordable.
Yes. Okay. So now the fact is that most real estate investors, we're busy. We're juggling a lot of balls in the air, and most real estate investors don't find time in their busy schedule to get around to writing a blog. Whether they're going to write it themselves, they may not have somebody on their team that can write them, and that's a big struggle to find somebody, whether it's on Fiverr or on Upworks, that knows the business, that knows the terminology, that knows the science behind it, and who's plugged in as a real estate investor with the jargon and in order to be able to position you as the expert in order to help you get those motivated seller leads. So we have we provide a full year's worth of blogging. It's 52 blogs, which means you can blog once a week for an entire year. And we provide 52 blogs, which will help you do exactly what we've said, this afternoon. Position you as an authority and get you those coveted leads. I will point out, just to show you an example, and again, I'll show you the link that you can click over to take a look at this. But what you're seeing here are actual blogs. These are the actual, we call it hero images, the primary images of these blogs. So how to sell a house with water damage, how to sell 5 mistakes to avoid when selling a house with an agent in Miami, Florida, if that's where your market is, or 5 effective tips to sell a house during a divorce. And so these are the actual blogs that you can see the headings. There's information here, there's a snippet for each of these blogs. And I just want to show you here just for a second, real quick. This is a sample of one of the blogs that is included in that REI content pack. And you'll notice that everything that I spoke about is employed here. So we've got a title. It's in that title, it's hyper-local focused. It's long tail keywords. We repeat the title. We repeat the hyper-local aspect of it in right away in our very first sentence. And we sprinkle that, by the way, you'll notice it throughout the blog. There's semantically related keywords here. There's images. These images, by the way, if you decide to buy the REI content packs, we'll insert your company's name in here for you. In fact, what my team does is they personalize the blogs for you. We also have a series of videos that we include on a number of the blogs. We'll do the intro and the outro with your contact information on the videos. On the infographics, we'll do the same. So here's a GIF. And so you'll see, this is a typical blog that you'll see. You'll notice that it's not a 500 word, 500 word blog. There's a lot of meat on the bone. Here's a secondary image. In this particular blog, I believe we have, here we have the CTA, the call to action. We always want to drive traffic, give a call to action, instructions to the reader. And we always want to lead them to either call you or fill out your form or reach out to you. Here's a sample of an infographic, reasons why my home is not selling. And here's an infographic. At the bottom, we insert your company information, your website URL. And here's a sample of some of the external links in this blog. This is just a sample of one of the blogs that we do. And
well, thanks for going into a little detail there. And we do have to wrap up here. So look, there aren't any questions, but there was a lot of interest. And while you were speaking, I was typing in things about long tail keywords, and some of the things you were explaining, I was typing into the comments. And so everybody, this is a very reasonable offer. And I'll have to get my affiliate link from you or your team.
I'm going to share it right now. I'll share it right now. Just want to wrap up with just two final thoughts. The price of the REI content pack is $297. That's for the entire year. What I like to tell my clients is that if you only get just one, either a wholesale or one fix and flip the entire year, and that's not the goal. The goal is to get one every quarter. But if you can just get one for that investment, you can do the math. On a wholesale, you do between 5,000 and 15,000, and on a flip, you can do between 15 and who knows what. So the ROI is through the roof. In spite of the fact that that's the reality, I do offer a double refund. It's a double refund. It's 100% no risk guarantee. If you feel that this is not working, if you feel you're not getting results, I know you will. But if you're consistent and you feel that it's not giving you the results, I'm not going to give you back your money. I'll give you back twice your money. So that's how strongly I believe in blogging. From personal experience, it's always worked super well.
The value is there. It is very there. So look, Patrick, I don't have that link with me.
I'm going to share right now with your audience. Just give me a second. And in fact,
and if you put it in the chat here in Zoom, I'll put it in the chat of the Facebook. So while he's getting that link, everybody, you can click on that link and it'll take you to how to sign up for these REI contacts.
And by the way, there's something special. I didn't mention this to you, but I'm going to surprise you with a little special gift to your audience. If you purchase the REI content pack, we're going to give you a 10% discount off the price. So you can visit the website. It's called reicontentpacks.com. But if you just click this link right here, and if you want to take a screenshot of this, you can. What I will do is I will enter this. If could you enter this into the chat, Brianna?
I will. Yeah, I'm just going to
Super,
do a
super.
screenshot on it.
And but if you guys want to take a screenshot, if you enter into the REI content pack and you through this link, then we'll help you get that, you know, that 10% discount off of the 52 blogs.
Okay, hang on just a sec.
Sure. And by the way, just to mention, it's the link says Rayana. There's a -10%. When you visit the website, all you need to do is enter Rayana-10. If you enter the word Rayana-10 at checkout, you'll get that 10% discount will be applied. So, and that's a small gift that I wanted to give to your audience, Rayana, and hopefully you folks have learned. Number one, have learned something today that's going to help you in case you're blogging or you intend to start, you know, blogging on a continuous basis. And if you feel that it's a lot to do and you'd like us to help you with the REI Content Starter Pack, we can help you. As I mentioned, we'll personalize it. We'll get it out to you within 36 hours. And lastly, for those of you that say, hey, I'd like to do a set it and forget it, you know, just you take care of everything. What my team will do is we'll personalize everything, and every week we'll upload it to your platform, whether it's WordPress or whatever platform you're on, we'll upload it for you. We'll personalize the copy, we'll personalize the CTA, and you'll get an email every Monday morning to a live link of the blog so that you can, as I said, set it and forget it, and my team will handle that for you.
Okay, well, just content rich, totally a packed, show you how to do it, detailed podcast episode today. I've put a lot of notes in the comments for everyone who is just kind of skimming through this that didn't join us live. I will, once we complete going live, I'll put the link for you to be able to sign up for these if you want to put your blogging on automatic pilot. Patrick, thank you so much for joining us and your generosity and really sharing some strategies on how blogging can help people attract more seller leads or whatever they want to use it for. I'm Brianna Starr, and I'm the host of the Unstoppable Real Estate Investor podcast. And if you're enjoying this podcast episode and you're in another Facebook group, please feel free to join my group. There's a link up above, and you can join us live on Wednesdays at noon. We also do a member spotlight podcast, which is more for newer investors. I might be coaching them on the call. So that may be a good podcast to watch at noon on Fridays. These times are Eastern. And we will be sharing the recording of this and lots of other real estate investment groups. And Patrick, I just appreciate you so much. You had so much value and light in my life. And it's just been a pleasure to have you as my guest.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
All right, everybody. Bye.
Bye-bye. Thanks.